Good evening, everyone. This is Jonathan Myers with the Metaphysical Hour or so. Now, this is a new little endeavor that I'm going to be doing solely here on Metamystics, and also going to be played on the Cult of Conspiracy as well. And this is going to be actually a tribute to Dolores Cannon. She used to host a radio show called the Metaphysical Hour, and actually this month makes her 11-year anniversary of her passing. So gone but not forgotten. She's definitely inspired me amongst many other thousands of people to look deeper into past life regressions and quantum healing hypnosis technique, and just really trying to get to the core of who we are, speaking to our higher selves, our subconscious, and really looking at past lives and stuff like that. So really excited to be able to try and carry on the torch for Miss Dolores. But that's not all this show is going to be about. It's going to be covering, past life regressions, but also near-death experiences, alien encounters, and pretty much everything metaphysical that you can think about. And so this is, like I said earlier, it's going to be just me. And so really looking forward to it, because this is like one of my first times ever really doing a show by myself. And so it's going to be a fun little thing to do. So first off, we're going to be starting with understanding Dolores Cannon's life a little bit. Just for anybody that is unaware of who she is, or, you've heard me talk about her a little bit in passing, but I just want to show just how incredible of a person this was, and how committed she was to her discovering of past life regressions. Because it actually happened by accident. It wasn't supposed to happen, but we're going to go over that. This is actually from the QHHT website, and this is about Dolores and QHHT. So let's hear about her biography just a little bit. We're not going to cover the whole thing, but, just the important things so we can understand what kind of person we're dealing with here. So Dolores Cannon's career as a hypnotherapist specializing in past life regression spanned almost 50 years and took her on an incredible journey along countless fascinating destinations. As a range of topics, her work covers a sheer volume of original material that she produced, places her in a category of her own. This section has been provided to give you insight into each stage of her career and how it progressed over the years. So how it starts, they go all the way back into Dolores's early life and pre-hypnosis, just so you can kind of see who she was before she discovered this. So Dolores Cannon was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1931, where she lived and grew up with her family until completing her academic studies in 1947. She married her husband, Johnny, in 1951, who was a career U.S. naval man in the Navy, with whom that she spent the next 21 years traveling all over the world to accommodate his various overseas assignments. She raised her family as a typical Navy wife throughout the 1950s and 60s until 1968, when several major events ultimately changed the course of her life forever. Then it goes over to her first exposure to reincarnation. So in the 1960s, Dolores and Johnny were using simple hypnosis for habits, for people that were wanting to quit smoking and lose weight and simple things like that. Dolores was first introduced to reincarnation in 1968 when she and her husband were asked by one of the doctors at the naval base that he was stationed at in Texas to help one of his patients using hypnosis. The woman suffered from nervous eating disorder, was extremely obese, had high blood pressure, and suffered from kidney problems. The doctor thought it would be extremely beneficial if hypnosis could be used to help the woman simply relax. Midway through the session, the woman unexpectedly began describing scenes from a past life where she was a flapper, living in Chicago in the roaring 1920s. Dolores and Johnny watched as the woman literally transformed into a different personality with different vocal patterns and body mannerisms. Despite being highly strange and completely inexplicable, they decided to go with the flow of the session and see what they could find out by exploring. Over the next several months, Dolores and Johnny regressed the woman through 5 different and distinct lifetimes back to when she was created by God from the very beginning. The entire story of this event is told in the first book Dolores ever wrote, called 5 Lives Remembered, that was published in 2009. So yeah, these sessions took place at a time when past life regression was nearly unheard of as a concept. There was no New Age movement yet. Of course, this was back in the 60s. And metaphysics was still decades away, and there were simply no books or instructions to guide or resources that she could use for a case like this. So this, however, proved to be a blessing in disguise as it promoted or prompted Dolores and Johnny to write their own set of rules, develop their own technique without oversight from an established medical body, and meant that they were not limited or confined in any approach in any way. Just the absolute freedom to take it wherever they thought necessary. As a result of not having anyone to tell her what to do, how to do it, or what was or was not possible, they experimented with insatiable intrigue and enthusiasm. Later that year, Johnny was almost killed by a drunk driver in a horrendous automobile accident on his way to the naval base. As a result of his injuries and being confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life as a partial amputee, Dolores and Johnny decided to relocate to the hills of Arkansas, where they thought that they would be able to afford living on a military pension with their 4 children. During this time, Dolores's explorations in hypnosis and reincarnation took a backseat as she was completely focused on her husband and raising her children, rightfully so. Next, we get to her practicing hypnosis full-time. So once her children had grown and left home to start their own lives, Dolores decided to begin consistently practicing hypnosis again with clients in the late 1970s. Although she lived in a small country town with a very small population, she was able to successfully attract a diverse range of clients due to her desire to take on any case regardless of the circumstance. Her early work was heavily focused on reincarnation, which got her acquainted and comfortable with the concept of time travel. Many of her early clients described scenes from past lives where they had lived in past decades, past centuries, and even past millennia in a variety of social settings in different locations all over the earth. She would then spend weeks researching the characteristics of life and the locations and time periods that her clients had described living in to verify the authenticity of the results that she was recording. Dolores would ensure the food they ate, the clothing they wore, the language they spoke, the money they used, the jobs they described, the social norms they abided by, the entertainment they enjoyed and participated in, the religious philosophies they believed in, and the geographic scenery that they described were all typical of what life would have been like in that particular time. It was through this vigorous verification process that Dolores ensured the authenticity of her results. Her early understandings of reincarnation seem rather simplistic compared to how far her work has evolved. However, in looking back at where she started and how she received the information, Dolores realized that they, in quotes, so she never refers to any, an angel or any, God, or she just says they, which I think is, I think that's okay. So Dolores realized that they were starting slowly to lay the foundation upon which she would understand, communicate, and explain far more challenging and complex ideas and concepts that she would be receiving in the future. So then it goes on. So then now we get to the subconscious and quantum healing hypnosis. So having conducted sessions with thousands of clients, recording the same results time and time and time again, spending vast amounts of time and energy verifying the authenticity of her clients' past lives, Dolores was able to decisively conclude that her results were indeed genuine and that she had tapped into an incredibly powerful source of information. As she explored further, she gradually became aware that the information she was receiving about past lives, different periods in time, and a variety of other topics were not actually coming from the conscious minds of the clients that she was hypnotizing. Just as developing her technique of hypnosis came slowly and with great practice, so too did the answers to these questions. After many years of practice and investigation, Dolores eventually realized that the memories of past lives and the additional information she was receiving through clients was being supplied by a much larger, more powerful, and more knowledgeable portion of her clients' selves, which their conscious minds were completely unaware even existed. So she decided to label it the subconscious, as it was part of every person's mind that absolutely exists, but lays just below the level of our conscious minds observing. When contacted and communicated with, there is simply no question it cannot answer about an individual's current life or about any of their past lives. After developing and refining her technique over many years, replacing time-consuming and tedious induction methods with an approach that involves the use of voice, imagery, and visualization, Dolores established her technique of quantum healing hypnosis. This technique enables direct contact and communication with the subconscious of any individual for answers to any questions, and also provides the basis for instant healing. So, as we were alluding to earlier, the subconscious, as she called it, the dormant observer, essentially, is what she's saying that she was able to get in contact with all of her clients. What exactly does she mean about the subconscious? And does she mean the subconscious that, everybody refers to as the subconscious, or is it something more? So, her definition of the subconscious, it says, not to be confused with conventional medical and psychological terminology, Dolores Cannon's use of the word subconscious to describe her groundbreaking work with that part of the human consciousness that is hard to describe because it is above and beyond the conscious mind, but also encompasses it. Dolores chose to use the word subconscious to describe this hidden aspect of existence because it resides at a much deeper, all-knowing level of us than our conscious mind does, which we use in our everyday lives to do our work and engage in relationships with others. So for millennia, religious and spiritual teachers have referred to what Dolores Cannon labeled the subconscious as the oversoul, Christ consciousness, higher consciousness, the universal mind, and oneness with the source. Very well could be God, for a lack of a better term. I mean, name it whatever you want. This is the observer, is who she's talking to. So the subconscious itself revealed to Dolores that what we call it is irrelevant and immaterial. It simply is, and it is willing to communicate and help anyone with a sincere desire and intent. When the subconscious is contacted during a QHHT session, observable changes occur in the subject being hypnotized, the practitioner, and anyone in the room, which is a dramatic increase in the perceptible energy level, causing feelings of joy and love. So the primary concern of Dolores Cannon and every QHHT practitioner was and is to always ensure the well-being of their subjects, seeking the unlimited assistance of the subconscious, which knows every aspect of a person's being, whether they are conscious of them or not, can help any person in amazing and unexpected ways. Big facts all day with that. And I've done, I don't know, maybe 300-ish sessions so far in my life, and there's never a time where it's not special. Like even the lives that, Dolores used to say, instead of calling them boring lives, she would say these were just digging potatoes lives, right? It doesn't necessarily mean boring because no matter how boring or insignificant, the surroundings and happenings of an individual in a past life, there's always things happening on a very personal level in which you're learning from. And so no life is ever meaningless or boring in that instance. And actually, I would actually probably venture to say that if you go and ask any potato farmer, whatever back in the day, they would probably say that their life wasn't boring. They might say, oh, it was kind of quiet and, we kept to ourselves. But it's still a person that has to go through a wide variety of emotions and conflicts and learning lessons as they get older and handling relationships and kids and all of that. So it's just because the I don't know, I guess the perimeter of one's life doesn't necessarily match with living in Tokyo or living in Tartaria or something like that. There's still aspects of that individual's life that, are valuable that they could then look back at and learn from. And that's what she was trying to get to. So following the tradition of Dolores Cannon, the QHHT practitioner asks the subconscious to reveal information unknown to the conscious mind of the subject that will aid in healing and uncovering the root causes of both mental and physical afflictions, illnesses, and phobias. The subconscious always selects the information most helpful to the person in need. By nature, the subconscious is akin to the soul and therefore understands the entire situation in every aspect of the individual, including issues from past lives that may be affecting them in their present life. That's why you go and do one of these sessions in the first place. Outside of just your regular curiosity, if you wanted to actually do something for you, this is why you would do it. So In this time of rapid change and expansion of consciousness, the concept of a greater self and acknowledgement of the subconscious as an all-knowing aspect are becoming more acceptable as science and spirituality converge to bring the best of both approaches to healing practices available to all. The exchange of ideas and knowledge online has sped up the process of integration, and QHHT is taking its unique place as a psychological, medical, and spiritual tool and healing modality. An open mind is key to the QHHT practitioner to embrace and understand unfamiliar concepts which can challenge our social conditioning and education. Through dedication to learning one's practice, QHHT can deliver expansive breakthroughs in consciousness, both for the subject and the practitioner. So just want to give a little backstory on Dolores and what is QHHT and past life regressions, and is it just your mere imagination? Is it an actual memory? Where are you pulling that memory from? Is it pulling from you and from your soul code, or it doesn't even matter, because for some reason every single time, even if you don't think that was you, even if you think that you're just making it up in your mind, it doesn't matter really, because it's what you just experienced. And as we've heard from multiple guests that we've had on the show, it doesn't matter if what happened was real or not, or fictional, or, a trip or a dream or anything like that. It only matters that you experienced it. That experience will cement itself in your memory, and it's going to have profound things that happen to you as a result of it. I was hypnotized twice back in the day, and it's probably been over 4 years since I got hypnotized. I can still remember most aspects of both of those regressions, and I like to think that I apply the meanings of both of those past life regressions to my everyday life still. So there's a lot that you can get from it. It's magical. And the crazy thing is that most people, whenever they go for a past life regression, they think, oh my God, I'm going to get hypnotized. It's going to be crazy. Da, da, da. Let me tell you, this is what I always say. Hypnosis is a fancy word for guided meditation. That's what it is. So don't, if you can sit there for 5 or 10 minutes in meditation, you would have no problem getting hypnotized to go to a past life. It's all about where it's steered to. So, and the good thing about this is that, they have past life regressions and stuff like that on YouTube. But that's for pretty much everybody, right? Like, it's not going to be specific to you. Whereas whenever I or Dolores and anybody else that has ever practiced QHHT, we ask very specific questions leading up to the actual hypnosis itself, so that we, can remember certain key points. And this person is having this experience because this is what's going on in their life. And we're trying to connect all the dots too. It's almost like we're like little Sherlock Holmeses of past life regressions, which is pretty cool. Okay, so now that we learned a little bit about past life regression and Dolores Cannon a little bit, I want to show this website. It's called thepowerofpositivity.com, and it lists 10 things to learn from past life regression. Not limited to 10 things. These are just 10 of the things that people have learned from past life regressions. And I thought it was going to be a really good idea to try and include these for anybody who hasn't had a past life regression, for anybody that would be interested in one, that is curious about it, doesn't know what to expect. These are some of the things that maybe you would be able to expect. Because I'm not going to lie, my first time getting, hypnotized, I had listened to probably thousands of past life regressions. I listened to probably thousands of hours of Dolores Cannon speaking. I was obsessed before I ever dipped my toes into it. And so I kind of thought that I knew what to expect. I didn't know what I didn't know, as a famous philosopher once said. So this is a roundabout of what you might be able to expect to experience. So, what is a past life regression? We can go into it a little bit. So, a past life regression is a therapeutic technique used to retrieve memories from what many believe are our past lives or incarnations. Rooted in the ancients' beliefs of reincarnation found in Hinduism and Buddhism and many indigenous cultures, this method gained renewed attention in the 20th century through the pioneering work of psychiatrists, hypnotherapists, and spiritual practitioners. The foundational belief behind past life regression is that our soul's journey doesn't begin or end with our current lifetime. Each life offers lessons and challenges that shape our soul's evolution. So then it gets into the different types of past life regression techniques. There's more than QHHT, obviously. Candace Craw Goldman, she created one once Dolores passed away, and hers is called Beyond Quantum Healing. We've had her on the show a couple of times. She's awesome. And she has a different technique than even Dolores did. Everybody has their own. So this says, though, that the practice of past life regressions has evolved, incorporating a variety of techniques. So the most popular one would be the hypnotic regression. The most widely known method is hypnotic regression. A trained therapist guides the individual into deep relaxation, allowing memories from previous lifetimes to surface, which is a fun way to go. Then, of course, you have your meditative regression. It says, through meditation, individuals can tap into their subconscious and access memories of past lives. Do that through a meditation. You don't need somebody steering you in that way, but sometimes it helps if you don't know, because the thing about meditation is that it is awesome. Obviously, if you've meditated before, you understand the immense benefits that you can get from meditation. But it's hard to stick to one thought once you get deep enough into meditation. So that's why it's nice to have the practitioner there to walk you along that path, almost like a shaman giving somebody some ayahuasca tea. It'd be nice to have somebody, kind of holding your hand and guiding you along the way, which makes it a little bit easier to, kind of work through the process of what it is you're seeing and what it is you're experiencing, because the practitioner is going to be asking you questions that you might not even think to look for in a past life. It's very detailed in that way. So we like to be as detailed as possible. Then you have the guided imagery. This is another form of past life regression. The guided imagery, using descriptive language and vivid images, a therapist guides individuals to visualize and journey through their past lives. Well, that's an interesting way. I don't think I've ever heard of that one, but I'd be interested in looking into it. And then everybody knows about this one, dream analysis. So in dream analysis, some people believe that our dreams can glimpse past lives. Analyzing recurring dream themes can insights into previous incarnations. Man, I can tell you, I dream just about every night. I recently just started documenting my dreams in this one dream app. And it's been interesting to go through the small list of dreams that I've accumulated in writing in. I think I'm up to 3 or 4 straight nights or something like that. And man, it's really cool. And what you start to notice is that you start to remember your dreams a little bit more and a little bit more detailed. And you can remember maybe a couple more minutes per night is what I'm kind of experiencing. But I will say that the Aboriginal of Australia, they believed that the dream world was reality. So that's an interesting way of looking at it, that they thought that this physical world that we live in was so much of an illusion that the dream world was reality. They called it a dream time. I think something like that. Dream something, but very fascinating. So yeah, it's not that crazy that you'd be able to pull something from a dream. I mean, a lot of prophecies come from dreams. Sometimes people will see things in their dreams, and a day later, a couple weeks later, maybe a couple months later, they'll see it happen in actual real life. Now, one crazy thing about dreams is that, we have a buddy, Optimistic Banks, for those who don't know. And he's awesome. He's a rapper and, conscious rapper, and he's a mystic. Great guy. Love him. And he brought an idea to the show of which I never even thought to use. So there are multiple dream apps out there that will help you understand and interpret what that dream meant. What happened, what's really happening on the deeper level for you to be able to interpret. And so, there's a bunch of AI apps, and, obviously you have people that do it as a service, and maybe you're able to, kind of decipher it yourself. But what he was saying is, he goes, look, people only use that for the dreams. He goes, what happened if you applied that to your waking life and then tried to describe what happened throughout your day in your waking life as if it was a dream, to be able to understand it more at a more subconscious and spiritual level? And I was like, oh my God. And so the first dream that I had that I remembered, I decided, or no, not the first dream, the first thing that happened in reality that I wanted to see what the deeper meaning was in the dream app. It was so spot on. It was spooky. I was like, oh my God, like even it's like every single second of your waking and sleeping life can be kind of, understood at a deeper philosophical, spiritual level. And there's always some kind of hidden message in there that only your subconscious knows how to be able to determine what it is. Because the subconscious, the higher self, the subconscious, whatever, it speaks to us in symbols, and that's a whole other story. But yeah, anyway, dream analysis as far as looking at past life regressions, love it. I think it's so cool. So it says the process of past life regressions. So the success of past life regression therapy largely depends on the therapist's skill and the individual's openness to the experience. It's essential to find the best past life regression therapist who is trained, experienced, and understands the profound nature of this work. Typically, a session begins with the therapist discussing the process and setting an intention for the regression. The individual then guides the client into a relaxed state through hypnosis or meditation. As memories emerge, the therapist may ask questions to gather more details, helping the individual process and interpret the experience. Yes, that is what we do. And I will say, to be honest, I think it kind of depends on everybody. Like, everybody's very different. I know that I think I've had issues hypnotizing people maybe twice. And usually it's because, well, one time somebody got real drugged up and drunk, and I told him not to, didn't want to listen. And, of course I couldn't hypnotize a sleeping person, so that didn't really work out very well. And then there was another case where, I don't know, I think somebody maybe had a lot going on, or, couldn't really calm down enough to be able to, surrender and let go, to be able to have, their guard down a little bit. And usually that's the main issue, is that people are so, they want to be in control, and I understand it. I understand, why people would prefer to be in control, but sometimes you're in so much control that you don't even know how to let your guard down whenever you choose to. And it's those people that are typically a little bit more difficult. Not saying it's impossible by any means. But yeah, for the most part, I can hypnotize just about everybody. It's usually up to the person, and what I've also found is that on days that, let's say somebody can't be hypnotized, there's usually some kind of weird reason as to why that can't happen. Because not even that they can't be hypnotized, but maybe they're having internet issues, or their electricity goes out, or, they get a call in the middle of it or something. Usually there's a reason why. And I mean, hey, who am I to say? It's all divinely planned. Maybe it has something to do with astrology. Who knows? I only know so much. So are there side effects of past life regression? This should be pretty interesting. So while many find past life regression to be a transformative and healing experience, it's not without potential side effects. Oh, I'd be interested to hear this. So some people may feel emotional, disturbed, or confused after a session. That's fair. There's also the risk of creating false memories. It's vital to approach this therapy with an open mind and a critical one. Thus, you will ensure that the insights gained align with one's inner truth. So the key to a positive experience is to look for the best past life regression therapist. Find someone with the experience to support you through this whole journey. It's also important to note that that those in the medical field do not agree with the efficacy of this therapy. Many caution that we need more studies to understand it better. I don't know. I've never seen anybody that gotten, psychologically hurt in any of these, normally emotional. That's understandable. I mean, you just, went through an entire past life. You went through a lot of ups and downs in a past life, as one does in the range of somebody's life. But I've never had it go really beyond that. Confused, I wouldn't say confused as much as, whenever you're hypnotized, as I said, it's basically just a deeper guided meditation, right? But whenever you're hypnotized for an hour and a half, 2 hours, they say don't hypnotize anybody longer than 2 hours, because once they come up out of it after 2 hours, they do feel kind of dazed and confused because it feels like they just woke up from a nap. And that's kind of what it's related to. So I wouldn't say confused, like extremely confused. It's more of like, oh, I just woke up from a nap and I need to gather my surroundings kind of thing. It's nothing really beyond that. This is interesting right here. So these are 10 things that you might learn from a past life regression if you were to have one. Also, I want to say that if anybody out there is interested in having a past life regression, I am now available. I will probably be doing them on the weekends, usually. I don't really have much time, outside of the weekends. But yeah, if you want to email me, it's metamystics@yahoo.com. That link will be down in the show notes for anybody who wants to be able to go in there and maybe schedule a session. And I'll be able to tell you my prices. I will say that my prices are cheaper than anybody I've ever seen before. Unless you're getting one for free, you're not going to get one cheaper than what I can offer. Because some people charge a little bit more. They do it as a full-time gig. It's not a full-time gig for me. I do it out of, curiosity. I do it out of wanting to help people, see and experience it. Of course, it does take, a couple of hours. So, I can't necessarily do it for free because, we live in a capitalist society, and baby needs clothes, so. But anyway, so here we go. So the number one thing they say is understanding of current relationships. Now, this is interesting because what you'll see, and I'm not even going to read it yet. In my experience, the understanding of current relationships is that in my two past life regressions, I've had relationships, not just like dating or anything, but relationships as in brother, sister, friends, coworkers, whatever. Experiences with other individuals in that life. I've had other experiences and relationships in past lives that seem eerily similar to the ones that I have in this life. For example, my first ever past life regression, there was this big guy and he had a big old red beard and he was funny, but he had a little bit of a temper, but he was also strong, and I knew that I could rely on him, and I knew that he loved me, and and he was my best friend in that past life, right? And then afterward, the Lydia, who was the Polish lady who was giving me a past life regression, she goes, "Who do you think that was?" And I said, she asked that to my higher self, and my higher self said, "Oh, that's his cousin Garrett." So literally, like, it's so strange about like how these energies kind of follow you a little bit in a good way. Maybe that is what some people call your soul family, or, whatever the case may be. Some people call it soul pods or whatever. That basically you have these same energies that follow you. Oh, I'm going to be the dad in this life, and you can be the son in this life. Or I'm going to be your aunt in this life, and whatever, right? Like people switching roles, but it's ultimately still the same soul or still the same spark that is going and experiencing it, which that is a trip to see in a past life regression. I'll say that. So it says, relationships form the bedrock of our existence, shaping our emotions and decisions. We may also discover more about the world around us. However, our interactions with specific individuals, whether friends, family, or acquaintances, sometimes feel unusually intense or familiar. I knew it was going to go there. Let's go. So past life regression suggests that souls can reincarnate and cross paths multiple times in various lifetimes. By exploring these past connections, we can understand why some relationships in our present feel so profound. Perhaps you and a loved one were siblings, best friends, or even adversaries in a past life. Understanding these dynamics can offer a deeper appreciation of your current bond, helping resolve conflicts and strengthening the ties that bind. Yeah, I love that. That's probably one of my favorite parts, is seeing other familiar spirits show up in another life, looking different, maybe they sound different, but still like the same general familiar, just that magic of the individual. Number two, it points out to reasons behind fears and phobias. This is going to be fun. So, most of us harbor specific fears, but when these fears become overwhelming and seemingly unconnected to our present circumstances, they're termed phobias. A person might be terrified of water despite never having had a traumatic experience with it in their current life. One might often wonder, where does this irrational fear come from? Through past life regressions, individuals have found that such inexplicable fears might be rooted in traumatic events from a past life. A fear of fire might emerge from memories of perishing in a blaze, or a fear of heights could connect to a fatal fall in another life. By understanding and confronting these past traumas, individuals can begin the process of healing. As a result, they may overcome their present-day phobias. Then you have unraveling past talents. This is a good one right here. So, have you ever felt an inexplicable draw to a particular skill, craft, or profession? You may have an innate ability to play a musical instrument, master a foreign language, or create beautiful artwork without formal training. Such talents and affinities might not be mere coincidences. Exploring past lives can reveal lifetimes where these skills were cultivated and mastered. By recognizing these latent talents, you get validation for your inclinations. You also find an opportunity to hone and continue your journey of mastering in the present. Yeah, pretty freaking cool. So next you have insights into health issues. This is what a lot of people ask about. Why, because you hear about, what is it? The birthmark. I don't know why that word was escaping me, but you hear about birthmarks and some people will say, well, that's probably how you died in a past lifetime. And so if you have a birthmark on the back of your neck, or you have one on your ankle, I know a lot of people have them like really all over the place. Usually people will say that that's how you died in a past life. Maybe you got stabbed, or maybe you got electrocuted, or maybe you fell off and that's where you hit, and whenever you died, whatever it is, right? Like, pretty interesting how that works. I got one on my ankle. It's pretty, makes me wonder. Our physical bodies are indeed resilient and magnificent, but they sometimes bear the brunt of unresolved issues, emotional and karmic. Some people suffer from chronic ailments or pain that current medical science cannot explain. Past life regression therapy suggests that such health issues might be remnants of past traumas or experiences. For example, a persistent pain in the neck might correlate with a past life memory of choking. While it's essential to consult with healthcare professionals for any medical concerns, understanding potential past life connections can offer an alternative perspective. Indeed, it can. Then you have the purpose in life lessons. So in the hustle and bustle of life, many individuals grapple with the questions of purpose and direction. Why are we here? What lessons are we meant to learn? And how do we find the meaning in our experiences? Past life therapy can help one explore the soul's journey over the eons. Thus, it provides a broader perspective on one's life path. We gain invaluable insights into our current purpose by understanding challenges faced in previous lifetimes, the lessons learned, and even repeated mistakes. So this understanding can guide us toward fulfilling our potential. It can also help one embrace life lessons with wisdom and grace. Man, this is really hitting all the nails on the head. There's a lot of great things that can be had from a past life regression that I think a lot of people overlook, or maybe they just don't know. Then you have the karmic patterns. So the concept of karma revolves around the law of cause and effect. It is the idea that our actions, good or bad, come back to us somehow. This can also span across lifetimes. Throughout many lives, we may develop patterns of behavior. These may lead to familiar challenges or scenarios. Further, these can be either beneficial or detrimental. Through past life therapy, individuals can look for these patterns and trace their origins. Understanding why we make some choices or find ourselves in repetitive situations allows us to break free from these karmic cycles. As a result of recognizing and addressing these, we may develop healthier behaviors in our current lives. Yes. Then you have healing old wounds. So our souls carry memories. Moreover, the emotional imprints of past traumas. These old wounds can manifest as fears or phobias if we fail to address them. They may also present as physical ailments in our present life. Past life regression offers a unique opportunity to confront these traumas head on. We can process and release the emotional baggage by revisiting the source of these wounds. This process can be cathartic, offering closure to long-standing pains and traumas. Healing old wounds brings mental and emotional relief and can lead to profound spiritual growth. Indeed, it can. Then you have the strengthening intuition. So intuition, this is a big one because you're going to get because a lot of people don't know that you can even pull anything out of your subconscious or your deeper, more observatory mind. And so whenever you are able to get familiar with that, you start to resonate at that same level to where you can pull more information from it, which is really awesome. And once you know it's there, it's never going to go away, right? Like it's always going to be now. So you have your ego mind and then your higher self mind, right? And a lot of people don't even know that you have multiple minds like that, which is pretty cool. So strengthening your intuition. So intuition is often described as the gut feeling, is an innate compass that guides us, hinting at things beyond the tangible. This inner knowing can be a culmination of wisdom gathered over many lifetimes. Past life regression can act as a bridge to these reservoirs of knowledge. We can sharpen our intuitive abilities by reconnecting with our past selves and experiences. As we become more in tune with our soul's journey and the lessons accumulated, we can make more aligned decisions in the present, trusting our inner guidance. Like I said, a lot of people don't even know it's there. Or maybe they think that it's crazy to even listen to it. Right? Because that's the crazy part of them. That's the illogical part of them, right? But hey, not every decision is a logical one. Next, we have understanding of death and the afterlife. This is the most fun part. I mean, I probably said that 3 or 4 times now, but because it's all fun, there's a lot of amazing things you can pull from this. But yeah, like whenever you're literally able to observe your own death in a past life, you're there, right? And you're experiencing it. And then you get to experience what happens after. That's the gold nugget right there. Some people are scared, but honestly, well, let me rephrase that. Some people are scared hearing that is what they're going to experience prior to them being hypnotized. But once they're there, it is such a natural transition. It's crazy how it works. And you'll see, anybody that wants to sign up, you will be able to see how natural of a transition it is from death to the other side or to the next incarnation or whatever happens next. It feels so natural. And a lot of people say that like, man, I feel like the best version of myself, whatever that may be. So, understanding of death and the afterlife. One of the most profound human fears is the fear of death and the unknown that lies beyond. This apprehension often stems from a lack of understanding about the cyclical nature of existence. Past life regression offers a glimpse into this cycle, showcasing the soul's journey across various incarnations. Experiencing memories from past lives can demystify the concept of death, revealing it as just another chapter in the soul's eternal journey. With this perspective, individuals often find a renewed appreciation for life and a diminished fear of its inevitable counterpart. Yes, it's a beautiful thing. Then you have personal growth and empowerment. That's a big one. And let me tell you, give you a little example of this. I have hypnotized people who have been, maybe scared to speak up for what they believe or scared to go after what they want or live life how they wish they could live without judgment of others, or you know what I mean? There's just always that pressure. And I'll say this, that whenever you go through a past life regression and you see yourself succeeding in another life or doing what you want and not holding back, it gives people this undeniable courage to chase after what they believe is their reason for being here. Like, who cares about what your parents think? Who cares about what, other people may think or whoever may judge you? I'm not even saying it's just your parents. You're going to have everybody's always going to judge everybody. And eventually, here's the real secret is that you shouldn't let anybody determine what you should be doing with your own life. Let them determine that for their own life. Okay. You are an individual. And it's up to you to determine how you want your life to go. You shouldn't live out of obligation. You shouldn't live for others' wants and needs or trying to follow in somebody else's footsteps that wants you to, you ain't got to do that. No, you live for you, and that'll be your happiest way. And this is a great way, and that's what this is getting ready to bring up, is your personal growth and empowerment. So it says, knowledge is power. By diving into the archives of our soul through past life regression, we gain insights into our future, or into our true nature, rather, our true nature, our strengths, our weaknesses, and the lessons meant for us. This knowledge is a potent tool for personal growth. Understanding the challenges we've overcome in past lives can instill a sense of confidence and resilience. Similarly, recognizing past mistakes can guide us toward better decisions and better choices in the present. As we piece together the mosaic of our soul's journey, we foster a deep self-awareness, leading to genuine empowerment and an enriched life experience. Yes, I will say that it's a mystical experience. If you're somebody that, maybe the idea of doing mushrooms or DMT or ayahuasca is like, maybe it's a step too far, but you want to be able to experience the closest thing to that. I mean, unless you want to have a near-death experience, which, who wants to almost die, or who wants to die just to be able to come back? No, you don't have to die. You don't have to go on a crazy hallucinogenic experience. You can experience it through the process of past life regression, like the wildest things. And just a couple of, notable names that I've hypnotized in the past. I've hypnotized Sean, obviously. Anybody that's ever listened to those, I've hypnotized him twice. I've hypnotized Jacob, even. Somebody that doesn't even believe in reincarnation, doesn't believe in past lives. Why did he experience a past life? Pretty interesting. And in a past life that was very different than what you would expect, which was really awesome. Who else? I've hypnotized Electro Nick, right? And, many others. And this is something that I've been doing now for coming up on 5 years. And so I'm very comfortable, and I know certain tricks of the trade to help you get deeper and get more out of the experience. So like I said earlier, if you're interested in a past life regression, then just email me. So next, what we're going to get into, and this is going to be the last one, because, it's just me. It's harder to go for multiple hours. So it is called the Metaphysical Hour or so, ... trademark purposes and whatnot, but yeah, so this is going to round it out right here. So, and this is what I wanted to mention this for anybody that, is curious about what to expect. Is it fugazi or fugazi? Is it nothing? Is it just your mind making it up? No, there's actual, this is going to get a little Sherlocky, okay? Because as Dolores was saying, whenever she would hypnotize somebody to a past life, she would, look at the documentation of that year, of that city, in that time, and of that person or whatever. And she was able to find correlating facts that correlated with whatever this person was experiencing in a past life. And these are 7 times right here. This is on bustle.com. These are 7 stories of alleged past life experiences from history that will truly chill you. These are some of the most famous cases of mostly provable cases. And there's many more. This only just names a few. This is actually the first case we're going to talk about is actually a case that Dolores used to talk about all the time. She said that she used to always say that whenever she was learning how to do past life regressions, that there was only ever really one case study that most people have heard of. And it was called the Bridie Murphy case. A woman named Bridie Murphy. I guess her real name was Ruth Simmons. I don't know how you get Bridie Murphy out of that. Either way. So it says, between November of 1952 and August of 1953, Maury Bernstein At the time, an amateur hypnotist who would later become known as a successful businessman used hypnotic regression 6 different times on a Colorado woman named Virginia Burns Teague. And what emerged during these sessions became a straight-up fad after the publication of Bernstein's book called The Search for Bridie Murphy. That's the book that Dolores would always talk about. So Teague, who was referred to by the pseudonym of Ruth Simmons in the book, had, it seemed, allegedly lived a past life as a woman named Bridie Murphy in the 19th century in Ireland. So while Teague was under hypnosis, she spoke with a thick Irish accent, despite the fact that Teague did not have such an accent and indeed had never been to even Ireland. The tale she told detailed Bridie's life from the age of 8 when Bridie lived in Cork up through the fall. She later suffered that resulted in her death as an adult. It says, when The Search for Bridie Murphy was published in 1956, it kicked up quite the pop culture fervor for reincarnation. Come as you were. Parties were in de rigueur. Okay, I guess that's a fun term for back in the day. They were all that could be talked about. Bars served reincarnation cocktails, and folks just otherwise couldn't get enough of the whole thing. However, the Bridie Murphy case did eventually collapse under scrutiny. Journalists failed to be able to verify key elements of Bridie's life. For example, there's no record of anyone resembling Bridie being born on December 20th, 1798, which Teague, under hypnosis, said was Bridie's birthday, or dying in 1864. And eventually it came out that Teague had grown up across the street in Wisconsin from a neighbor who was an immigrant from Ireland named Birdie Murphy Corkle. Oh, how about that? So we don't think Teague made up the story on purpose. As Live Science notes, it's generally believed that Teague may have unconsciously built Bridie Murphy out of her childhood memories as Birdie Murphy Corkle. Man, what an interesting thought, though. Who knows? The case may never be solved. The next one is called the Bloxham Tapes. Bloxham Tapes. So British hypnotherapist Arnold Bloxham was born in 1881. In the 1950s, possibly inspired by the Bridie Murphy case, he began researching past life regression. Over the course of about 20 years, he recorded a whopping 400 hypnotic regression therapies on tape. And in the 1970s, these tapes were transcribed and published in the Sunday Times as a series. BBC producer Jeffrey Iverson headed the charge on the published series. In 1976, he both produced a documentary for the BBC about the Bloxham tapes and published a book about them called More Lives Than One: Evidence of the Remarkable Bloxham Tapes. So, of particular note was the case of a 30-year-old Welsh housewife referred to by the pseudonym of Jane Evans. According to Evans's regression tapes, she had allegedly lived not 1, not 2, but 6 different past lives. I would actually venture to say that it's probably infinite, but that's just me. So she lived as Livonia, a tutor of the sons of the Roman governor Constantius in York in the 3rd century AD. That of Rebecca, who was married to a Jewish moneylender in York in 1189. That of Alison, an Egyptian woman in 1450, who was a servant in the household of a French merchant. That of Anna, who in the 16th century was a lady in waiting of Catherine of Aragon, and that of Anne Tasker, a seamstress in London in 1702, and that of Sister Grace, who was a Catholic nun in Iowa at the beginning of the 20th century. So these were the documented regressions that this person had, that she remembered, right? So, or that were recorded. So according to the Skeptics Dictionary, though, Jane Evans's alleged past lives have been found not in the historical record, but the fictional one. Livonia, for example, seems to be based on The Living Wood, a novel by Louis de Wohl, published in 1947. Alison's life also seems to come from a novel called The Money Man by Thomas Constable, while Rebecca may have emerged from a radio play. It's believed that Evans's past lives may actually be the result of cryptomnesia and confabulation. But for the longest time, people believe these, and so that's why they're very well documented. It's not to say that there aren't good examples. These are just the most notable examples. We're going to get there, I promise you. There's some really good ones in here. Not that those aren't really great, too, though. They're good case studies. So then there's the reincarnation of Om Seti. Interesting. So Dorothy Eady, also known as Om Seti, was born in Blackheath area of London on January 6, 1904. When she was 3 years old, she fell down the stairs at home. The family doctor determined her to be dead, but an hour later, she was fine. After that, she began to have dreams of living in a large building adorned with columns. She said frequently that she wanted to go home. And when she was 4, during a trip to the British Museum, she declared that home was Egypt. Oh, baby. She moved to Egypt in 1933 to be with her husband, who was an Egyptian. Eventually, she ended up moving there. And although her marriage ended just 2 years later, she did stay in Egypt. She became a folklorist, a keeper of the Abydos Temple of Seti the First, and a draughtswoman for the Department of Egyptian Antiquities. And she believed that she had, in a past life, been a young woman named Bentrishet, an orphan who had been adopted by the temple of Kom el Sultan near Abydos. Probably butchering those words. She goes, I can't remember any ordinary life, so I think I must have been stuck in the temple, she told the New York Times in 1979. I have a vague memory of the processions. I can remember an awful old killjoy of a high priest as well. And in 1987, several years after she died in 81, it emerged that she also believed that in her past life, she had been a lover of King Seti, who became pregnant. She said that she had died by suicide rather than reveal that the king fathered a child with her. Interesting. It's anyone's guess as to whether the story is true or not, but she certainly believed it was. See what I'm saying, though, is that, personally, I say, who cares if it's real or not? It's still an experience that you just experienced, and there's no getting that off, like in a good way. Like, it's always going to be something that you remembered. It's the same thing of like, whenever you're watching a scary movie, for example. And I know some people don't like scary movies, but for those of us freaks that do, you're almost like, you watch something in hopes that you're going to get scared because you know you're going to get drawn in, but your mind doesn't know the difference if that's actually happening to you or if you're just watching it on TV. That's what allows you to get scared and, your heart rate going and a bead of sweat, dripping down your face. And, it's real to your mind. And that's what I'm trying to say about these experiences is it's real to your mind. It's going to be real to you regardless. So not to water it down in any means. I'm just saying at bare minimum, that's what it is. The fourth one we have here is the past life of Laurie Raynaud. So in European cases of reincarnation type, Ian Stevenson, who is a big name in past life regression and past lives in general, he's one that goes around and documents everybody who claims that they have a past life. It is wild, like the amount of information that he has compiled of, and it's usually like little kids, like because little kids, some of them can remember their past lives up to a certain age. I believe he says that most kids can remember their past lives up to the age of like 7, some rare cases of up until they're like 9 years old. And so he'll go and record their whatever they remember from a past life and try and string it all together. And he's done this thousands of times. Fascinating individual. But anyhow, Ian Stevenson, one of the foremost researchers in reincarnation and past lives, details the case of Laurie Raynaud, who was born in Aumont, France in 1868. She rejected the Catholic teachings that she was raised with, insisting that hell, heaven, and purgatory didn't exist. Rather, she believed in the idea that each time people die, they return to earth in different bodies. That was a hot button topic back in the 1800s for sure, right? So Raynaud moved to Paris at the age of 17, studied medicine, and became a healer. She married in 1904, and during this time, she also learned that she also learned what was called magnetism, which was a type of hypnosis. That's ancient hypnosis right there. And it was while working with Gaston Durville, who ran a clinic in Paris, that she finally began speaking of what she believed were memories of a past life. She remembered living somewhere with lots of sun in a very large 2-story house with lots of arched windows. There was a park nearby with lots of old trees in it. Additionally, a number of small houses belonging to workers were located near the house. She believed the memories were from her past personage was about 25 years old and from roughly 100 years ago. She said that she had a chest disease, that she was plagued with coughing. Later on in life, Renaud went to Genoa, Italy, and felt an immediate familiarity with the place, even though she had never been there before. She tracked down a house in a countryside that locals said matched the one that she described from her memories. And it was here that she came to believe that in a past life, she had been Giovanna Spontini, who had lived in the house Renaud had located and died in 1809 of chronic illness and catching a severe chill. So Stevenson notes that the fact that Renaud couldn't specify any names of people in her memories until after she had done some research weakens the possibility of her actually having having experienced a past life. The same went on for the fact that although she accurately described many details of the house, those details were very common in Italian Renaissance mansions. The chronic illness, however, he considered intriguing. I mean, there's something to say for that. And I want to just lay something out right here. You're trying to pull on a memory, and memories, even in this current life, memories are really hard to get exact with details. So in the way that you're going and kind of fetching these memories through a past life regression, it's a different, modality of getting to a memory. So sometimes they'll be a little bit spot on. Sometimes we don't even have words for what they would have said or what they would have used or what they would have called that thing over there that we don't have a word for, something like that, right? So it can be a little muddied that way, but I believe that she had to have, just reading from this story of Lori Renaud, like, it sounds believable to me. I don't know. Maybe I just want to believe it. Who knows? Then there is Arthur Flowerdrew's ancient journey. So here we go. So when he was a kid, Arthur Flowerdrew, who was born in 1906, had dreams of a large city surrounded by desert. It had a temple and a canyon and streets and buildings, all laid out in very particular ways. Later, he had visions of the city when he was awake as well, often brought on by trips that he took to the seashore, during which he played with pink and orange rocks. He grew up, he got old, and one day, while watching a documentary on the BBC about the ancient Jordanian city of Petra, he felt he immediately recognized the place. It was seemingly the city that he had been seeing in his dreams since he was a child. And if you're watching on Patreon or YouTube, you'll be able to see the Petra right here, which is, it's fascinating because it's carved out of a mountain. Man, it just looks so detailed and so cool to have been carved, and it's all one slab of rock. I mean, it's literally out of a mountain. So to be that precise is fascinating. So anyhow, Flowerdrew reached out to the BBC, who were intrigued by his story, and shot another documentary about and what he believed was a past life that he lived in Petra. The Jordanian government later saw this documentary and reached out to Flowerdrew. Would he like to fly out to Petra in person? Wow. What an opportunity. Why, yes, he would. What's more, before he left, an archaeologist who was well-versed in Petra's history gave Flowerdrew a test about the city, and he nailed it. Oh, goosebumps on that one. So he described major landmarks, identified them on site when he arrived, and revealed information about the ancient place it seemed like he could not have known. His story is often pointed to by those who believe in reincarnation, particularly those whom it's part of their religion or belief system, as proof that past lives exist. That's the best example so far. Man, imagine. All right, next we have the case of Shanti Devi. It says, born in 1926 in Delhi, India, Shanti Devi was 4 years old when she began telling her parents that her home wasn't in Delhi. It was 90 miles away in Mathura, where she said that her husband lived. 4 years old saying that, remembering where her husband lived. She recounted memories of having been married and later of dying from complications from childbirth. She described what her husband looked like, light-skinned, a wart on his cheek, and reading glasses, and where his shop was located, which was by, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of that temple, but it was by a temple. Eventually, she revealed her past persona's husband's name, which was Pandit Kedarnath Chobi. As it turned out, the man existed. He had lost a wife named Lugdi Bai from complications with the C-section that she had undergone while giving birth to their son, Navneet Lal. What's more, Shanti recognized both Pandit and Navneet Lal on sight. Wow. So a 4-year-old remembers who her husband and eventually who her baby was as a 4-year-old kid. Holy smokes. So Shanti's story was investigated by a number of people. Ian Stevenson, another reincarnation researcher, Dr. K.S. Rawat, and Mahatma Gandhi got involved on this one. All three were struck by the fact that so many details of her story were verifiable. Wow, what a story. That is awesome. Imagine. I think this is the last one that we're coming up on. Yeah. So the last one is the second life of the Pollock girls. Oh, this sounds interesting. So on May 5th, 1957, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, aged 11 and 6, respectively, were killed in a car crash in Hexham, Northumberland in the UK. They had been on the way to church with a friend. Everyone in the car had died instantly. The girls' parents, John and Florence, were devastated. John kept praying that his daughters would come back. Florence became pregnant. So the mom became pregnant in 1958. And here's where it starts to get weird. I knew it was going to get weird, obviously. It's the last one. It has to be the coolest. Although her doctors had not believed that she was having twins, on October 4th, 1958, she gave birth to identical twin girls. Florence and John named them Jillian and Jennifer, and immediately noticed some strange similarities between Jennifer and Jacqueline. Jacqueline had a scar on her forehead. Jennifer also had a mark there. Jacqueline had a birthmark on her leg, so did Jennifer. Jillian did not share any of these marks with her sister. The Pollock family moved from Hexham to Whitley Bay when the twins were just a few months old, but when they were 4, they returned to Hexham. The girls were eerily familiar with Hexham, despite the fact that they wouldn't have been old enough to make memories of it before they had moved away. For example, they said that they remembered playing on the playground of a specific school. They had never attended this school, but their older sisters, about whom they had no knowledge, had. The girls also recognized and correctly named toys that had been Joanna and Jacqueline's, and most frighteningly of all, became enormously afraid of cars for fear that one would crash into them. Spooky. Ian Stevenson believed the case was strong for Jillian and Jennifer being Joanna and Jacqueline reincarnated, but when the twins were 5, the memories of their past life vanished, leaving the mystery unresolved. So yeah, what a story. Wow. All right. So there is something from it. So for anybody out there thinking, oh man, I don't know how I feel about this, and is this just crazy? Is this my crazy mind going crazy as it tends to do? No, dude. Like, there is something to it. You're not crazy for wanting a past life regression. You're not crazy for looking into it. You're not crazy for believing people's past life regressions. It's not to say that every single one is going to be extremely verifiable, but like I said, who cares if it is or if it isn't? That was actually something that took me a little while to kind of get through myself. And that's thanks to the first ever QHHT practitioner that I ever spoke to, John McCluckey. Shout out. He's an Australian, lives on the Gold Coast. And man, that's what he was explaining to me. He goes, who cares if it really happened or if it's real or if it's something? At worst case, it is a dream that you're experiencing that you can learn from. And I was like, huh. Okay, I can handle that. I can get down with that. So, yeah, kind of just wanted to go over a little bit of this. You know, as I said before, I kind of wanted to give this a little tribute to Dolores Cannon, also by naming the show the Metaphysical Hour or so. Dolores Cannon, shout out. man, I mean, what an influence on my life she has had. And now making a show that is, I think in the best way that I can tribute to her, literally to the month on the 11-year anniversary of her passing. There's no coincidences. I swear I literally just thought of doing this like days ago. And I was like, why not? Why not? It'll be fun. So, yeah, y'all let me know what you think. If you would, leave a review, maybe leave some 5 stars, give us a follow. Come check us out on Patreon if you want to be able to get the shows a couple of days in advance. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time, this was the Metaphysical Hour.
Is the UFO mystery truly a scientific Watergate?